When West Ham players get mentioned in the news, especially for comments that they've made, it's often quite negative. It's often comments that they've made that put the club in a negative light, that put themselves in a negative light, and ultimately make us look foolish. But to be honest, we're on a bit of a streak. We're on a bit of a streak of players making not only nice, insightful comments, but comments that are actually bringing our club up and allowing ourselves to give ourselves a better platform. And one comment I want to address is made by Vladimir Sufal. Of course, he's been with the club for a very, very long time now. And he took to the media and he said, "We are stronger without Rice. Before Deck took responsibility for everything, but now we all have split responsibility. I love the way we play now and I love our new signings." Now, this to me has actually posed a question that, to be fair, we've all considered and we've all thought about is, are West Ham actually better without Declan Rice? And it seems a very strange thing to talk about. It seems a very strange thing to even consider when you look at the impact he had when he first came to the club, when you look at how well he's played for us over the last couple of years, when you look at just how good a player he is. I mean, he's moved to Arsenal and some people would say his level's gone up. I wouldn't say that personally. I'd say he's just showing his level at I wouldn't say better club sounds bad, but realistically, Arsenal at the moment are on a higher level than us. They're probably the second to third best team in the league, Champions League football. Let's not be around the bush. Arsenal is a better platform for a player like Declan Rice to give a good account of himself as both a footballer and a person. We all know that, if you play for a top six side, you get more of a look in than if you play for a club like West Ham or Crystal Palace or Brentford or these sorts of clubs. You play for a top six side, you tend to get England's call ups, you tend to get recognised as a world class player. It's very hard to have that done if you're not in the top six. But it is something we have to talk about because when you look at last year, we started off the season horrendously. We were so poor. This season, 5 games in, we've only lost to Manchester City, beaten Brighton, we've beaten Chelsea, we've drawn to Bournemouth, who's to be fair a bit of a tough side. I think we played very, very well this start of the season, and of course, we've won our first European fixture as well. So it is worth asking ourselves, are we better without Declan Rice? And I'm going to look at this from a couple of angles. The number one angle I'm going to look at this from is, would I rather have Declan Rice or would I rather have Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, and I guess Kudus? Because I think those three were the main bulk of the Rice money. And I have to say, I probably would prefer the latter. I would prefer Alvarez, Kudus, and James Ward-Prowse. I think there have been 3 terrific signings for us. And, when you look at how good Rice is a world-class player, all right? If you don't think that's true, either don't watch him enough or you're bitter because he's moved on to Arsenal. Declan Rice is a world-class player. He is. He's one of the best CDM/holding midfielders in the league. I think only Rodri's better than him. I think Casemiro is just off him. I think Casemiro is brilliant. I think Rodri's probably the best holding midfielder in the world. But, Declan Rice is right up there. One of the best holding midfielders in the league. One of the best ball carriers in the league. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He's a world-class player. There's no one in that West Ham squad currently, in my eyes, that is on the same playing field as Declan Rice. If you want to call him world-class, would I call Paqueta world-class? I think maybe he's on the cusp of it. Would I call Jarrod Bowen world class? I mean, that's a really, really tough one. Again, I feel like he's on the cusp of it as well because he is such a good player. But Declan Rice is a world class player. There is no doubt in my mind about that. He could play for most teams in the league, most teams in the world. One of England's best players. He is a world class player. However, in terms of the actual team, you look at having Alvarez in there. So Alvarez does the job that Rice did of going in front of the midfield, holding together. Actually, a bit better job in some sense because when he sits in front of the defenders, he just does it. He doesn't go on these darting runs, and I think he's brilliant. And he puts a challenge in. He then got James Ward-Prowse. I look at James Ward-Prowse and I think, right, he's better at set pieces than Rice. He's probably, I don't know if he's got a better shot necessarily, but I think he's probably got, more. He's got more right to go for the shot, I will say. Like, he shoots more and he passes more than Rice. He's already surpassed Declan Rice's goal/assist tally. So that would indicate to you that maybe he is better at those things, but I wouldn't necessarily say so. And Mohamed Kudus, I think, is our star boy. He's going to be an absolute superstar. I think we could double our investment in him in a couple of years' to come, I think is absolutely brilliant. So you look at those three players and you swap them for Declan Rice. And we always said that when we sold Declan Rice, we would need a couple of players to fill the void that he's left, in the sense that we can't find a player who's got everything Rice has got the driving force, has got the passing, has got the holding play, has got the reading of the game. We can't find one player to do all of that because we just can't afford him and he just won't want to play for West Ham. We need to find a player who can do that. And then the attacking side of it and the driving side of it, we need to find in someone like Ward-Prowse or Kudus, who of course we signed. So that's the first angle I look at it. The second angle I look at it is what Vlad said about that Dec took responsibility and that now everyone gets a split of the responsibility equally. And I think that's really, really important, actually. I do really agree with him. I think when you look, it probably is both because he was one of West Ham's best players, a player that we knew was going to move on, and also a player who was the captain of the football club. So, of course, everyone's going to look to Declan Rice. If we're playing badly, what's Declan Rice's mentality? How does he bring the squad up? I don't see anyone saying that about Kurt Zouma. No one sits there and says, "Oh, Zuma's got to drive this team forward," or "Oh, Zouma throws his hands up," or anything like that. Declan Rice, every single bit of his game was absolutely scrutinised, and he had to take a lot of responsibility. If we lost, he had to come out and speak to the press. He was the star boy. He was the figure of the club, wasn't he? So, he had to take so much responsibility. And also, like we said earlier, we need two players to fill Declan Rice's shoes. So when we say that he took responsibility, we also mean that he was in charge of not only defending and holding and, trying to protect our back line, but also for driving us forward and starting to create attacks. It's a lot of responsibility on just one player. And it's no wonder that, often he might get caught out of position because trying to do that all at once is quite difficult. But when I look at it as, does the team now feel like a team and not a team built around Declan Rice? I completely agree with that. I think that last year it was a team built around Declan Rice. All eyes were on Declan Rice. We were playing through Declan Rice. Everything was coming through him. And now, even though we might have particular outlets like James Ward-Prowse, who I would say is probably our most, well, actually, no, I'd say Paqueta is probably our most pivotal midfielder at the moment with the way he picks up the ball and creates stuff. But I think James Ward-Prowse is that key to linking it all together. But regardless of that, when you don't see it as a team built around Paqueta and built around James Ward-Prowse, if we play poorly, you don't see anyone, magnifying glass in on James Ward-Prowse or Paqueta. Everyone takes the blame. Everyone shares the responsibility. It's not just, well, because the first thing that anyone would say if we played poorly was, "Oh, how did Rice play?" And it was either, "Oh, we played poorly today, but Rice was world class once again," or it was, "Oh, we played poorly today, not Dec's best game." So I think it's really good that the club now have, like Vlad said, equal responsibility. And you know what a comment to be making as well. I think it's very, very bold to come out and make a comment like that. Not just because Rice is probably friends with Vlad. I'm sure Vlad doesn't mean any disrespect in what he says about Declan Rice. I don't think he means any malice in it or any jealousy or bitterness. I'm sure it is just a very just plain comment, just saying that we are better without Declan Rice. I think it's an absolutely brave comment to make, and especially when a lot of people will be saying, "Oh, West Ham have lost." I mean, the amount of videos I saw, both on social media and by pundits and whatever, "Oh, West Ham have lost Declan Rice. They've lost their best player. They could get relegated. They could be in really big trouble here." So I think it's a very fair comment to make. I look at this West Ham side and I think it's a lot more balanced. It's got a lot more cohesion. And I tell you what, a lot of that is to do with James Ward-Prowse. You haven't got James Ward-Prowse in this team, and the team looks very, very different. Very different. So I do think a lot of it comes down to that. But I think there's more cohesion in the team. We seem like more of a team. We're a team of individuals now. We're a team of players, and we all take responsibility. There's no, it's shared responsibility. Whereas when it was Dec, like I said, it was a team of players around Declan Rice. Everything revolved around Declan Rice, the figurehead of the club, and also the price tag hanging over his head. It mustn't have been very good. So, like like Vlad says, we are stronger without Rice. And to be honest, as crazy as it sounds, I think he's right. I think he is right. I think we are stronger without Declan Rice. I think we've got Mohamed Kudus now, who, like I said, will be a star boy. I think James Ward-Prowse is he brings back that threat from corners that we really, really needed. You don't get that with Declan Rice. I think Alvarez as well. is going really under the radar. I think he's absolutely brilliant as a defender, as a midfielder, defending the sort of back line. I think he's got really good tenacity as well. He seems like a proper bastard, a proper West Ham signing. Um, and I do think that we've done very well with our money, Declan Rice money. We haven't blown it. And I actually would say, like I said, that we are strong without Declan Rice. And, it'd be interesting to see just how far we can go. Can we emulate the European success without him? Is there going to be a game this season where we sit there and think, do you know what? If we had Declan Rice in that team, I think we would have won that game. Because so far, I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen a game where I thought, do you know what? We needed Declan Rice in that midfield to pull the strings. We needed Declan Rice in that midfield to make that, last ditch challenge. I haven't seen that so far this season. So, do you know what? Like I said, I'm agreeing with Vlad here. I think it's a brilliant comment for him to make. Very, very brave. And I think it just brings back that togetherness, the good team spirit. Something we've probably lost, I think, a little bit prior to the European win. I think they're all taking responsibility on. Kurt Zouma's the captain, but he's not the figurehead of the club the same way Rice was. So, yeah, I think that, just how far can we go without Declan Rice? It'd be very, very interesting to see.